Hello and welcome back to today's episode, which is going to be on Taurus season, which we just entered. So we're going to be talking about the themes of this season as well as the astrological planetary movements that are going on and how that is going to energetically affect us and affect the collective. So first of all, Taurus season is starting from April 20th to May 20th. So every single year the dates will change. This year is that time frame. Now Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. So we're changing from Aries, which was the first sign. It's very fiery, very quick. It's got passion, heat, drive, speed, energy, action. And we're shifting into Taurus, which is slower. It's a lot slower, actually. It's very grounded, it's very foundational. This is all about structure and logic. So whereas Aries was the beginning, it's the creation of ideas. It's coming up with ideas. It's getting fired up about what you want and what your goals are. Taurus season is now about, okay, how do we ground those ideas and actually make a plan for us to get there? How do we build the solid, stable foundations that allow us to start walking the path step by step towards our goals and towards what it is that we desire and we want to bring into our life? So we're really coming down from all of that action and movement and fast-paced energy. And being a fixed sign, which is what Taurus is, this is also about growing our roots, really deep into the earth. So we're grounding, we are anchoring. So we're taking a break from that movement, that speed, and kind of like staying where we are to really figure out the plan of how we want to move forward from here on out. Now, fixed energy can also make us feel stuck or have a tendency to stay in situations beyond their expiry date. But with the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in Taurus and some other energies shaking things up, I feel like it's not as likely going to happen this Taurus season. So in terms of the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, that is a planetary conjunction, like where two planets are sitting next to each other and they're meeting up. This has not happened for 13 years, and I went in depth over that in my Aries season episode, but we'll talk a little bit more about how Taurus season will be affected by that in this episode as well. We'll also talk about the major themes that Taurus season brings up, as well as planetary movements over the next month. And if you'd like to receive more guidance in the form of weekly and daily forecasts on how to navigate the shifts of energy, head over to my Cosmic Sanctuary Women's membership to get all of those forecasts, plus a lot of lessons on how to read and understand your own birth chart. Now let's talk major themes of Taurus season first. So the first theme I want to touch on is foundations. Taurus season is all about making a plan, building our foundations. I think of Taurus almost as the turtle of the zodiac. It's slow, but every single step it takes is sure and it is consistent above all else. It's not, going 1,000 miles an hour and then having to stop and take a break because you've burned out and do nothing for a week and then go again. This is slow but consistent. This is also the time you can really build up a habit. This is how you build up momentum instead of, like I said, going and then burning out. This is how you really build that momentum that's going to take you far, take you towards whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are. So this season is all about making sure that we are building our foundations right so that our house can stand, right? If you don't build solid, strong foundations, your house is going to fall over no matter how beautiful it is, no matter how amazingly you decorate your house. If you think about the analogy of going on a hike, Taurus season right now is making sure that we've got all the food and the supplies we need on our hike so we don't get lost or we don't starve to death, right? This is so much about building things brick by brick, taking things step by step, and grounding the things that you've started in Aries season. If you've started a new project, Or if you've already been working on a goal, checking back on that goal, checking back on that process, and seeing if there are any aspects you need to shift or to anchor or to ground deeper. And this is also about clarifying, what do I really want from what I'm doing right now? What direction is this going in? What direction are my actions taking me in, or my decisions taking me in? Are there any points in this process of getting to my goal that don't really feel solid? Is there anything that I would need to step into that I'm unsure of and I need to learn first? I need to solidify first. Is there anything that I could create or I can do that might be helpful for the next steps that I need to take? And in order to do this in the most aligned way, you have to get clear on your values, which is the second theme of Taurus. So over the past year, think about how have your values shifted as a result of what you've experienced or what you've been through. Are there any values that you no longer align with and need to be adjusted? And then from those new values or from those adjusted values, are they being reflected and respected in the spaces that you're in or in the relationships that you're in? And if we turn it back inwards, are my own actions and decisions aligning with those values and reflecting those values of mine? And this actually goes beyond just values themselves. This ties into your foundations and the feeling of being grounded and solid through the form of self-trust. Because when you have these core values, but your actions don't align with those core values, you are betraying your own self. You're damaging the trust you have in yourself. And so everything that you do or create, there can then be this voice in the back of your mind that's critiquing you and making you doubt yourself. And the more that you don't align your actions and decisions with your values, the louder that voice gets. And I want to share a story here because the other week in one of my sessions, my client was sharing how she's been learning how to be more selfish and put herself first instead of putting everyone else before her and everyone else's needs and wants before her own, which I totally relate to, and I'm sure many of you listening can relate to as well. But there was a bit of a block there. There was still a bit of resistance to truly embodying that identity for her. And this is where the power of language and your words comes in. Because when we say things like, I want to be more selfish, we are actually attaching our identity to those words. Like we want to step into someone who is more selfish, someone who does put herself first. So we attach our identity to these concepts. And no matter how much we logically in our brains know that being selfish in the way of putting ourselves first is good for us, the connotations of that word alone makes it feel really tight and restricting. Like if you want, try saying I am selfish out loud. If you say I am selfish, you'll feel it. It feels a little bit icky. It feels a little bit, there's a little bit of that resistance there. However, if you just shift the way that you word it, so in that session with her, based on the rest of her chart, we shifted it to I am self-prioritizing, right? Feel how expansive that feels. It feels so much more anchored and grounded, and it lands so much deeper, and it feels so much more empowering. So bringing that back to values and self-trust, you want to make sure that you're identifying your values and also identifying what parts of your identity no longer align with those values, and naming a part of that identity that you need to step into and you want to step into. So like if you've been self-sacrificing, you might identify that, okay, I need to put myself first more. And then this is where words come in and language comes in. Instead of saying, okay, well, I need to be more selfish, which feels restricting and feels limiting and a bit tight, you can use the same phrase. You can say, I am stepping into someone who is more self-prioritizing, or whatever other form of that lands better for you and feels more comfortable for you. And this is a consistent practice. Again, Taurus season is all about consistency, right? This is why this season is a slower season, because we're not focused on a 180-degree change. We are focused on consistent step-by-step changes. Aries season last month might have brought to the surface some things that you are like, this is no longer working. I want it to change completely. Cool, we're bringing out new ideas. We're thinking about new things that we want to do. Taurus season is now, okay, now that we've gotten over that initial kind of excitement and movement, how do we anchor this? How do we ground this? How do we now make sure that all the bases that we might have overlooked last month in our excitement, how do we make sure that those bases are solid and those foundations are solid for us to really move forward? Now, moving on to the third theme of Taurus, which is money. So this is the money we earn, the money we have, the material things that we own. Firstly, I don't know where you are in the world, but if your tax season is coming up soon, like it is here for me, this coming month is a good idea and is a good time to start getting all of your finances in order. Booking in a time with your accountant, preparing everything so that when tax season comes, you're set and solid to start filing your documents. Like for me, I'm a sole trader here in Australia, so I have to log all my expenses and my earnings. And so like I haven't done that for months and months now. So this would be the best time for me to set aside some time to go through that and really comb through that and update my numbers. Now, the theme of money ties back into values in the sense of, am I spending or saving my money in alignment with my values? It's also about reflecting on how you've been managing your money over the past year and seeing if there might be a better way for you to do it. So does anything in your process need to change, or are things still working? Are you feeling really solid and the way that you're managing money is, landing for you and is working for you? Also, the reason I'm saying think about a year ago is because I'm referring to the past Taurus season. But let's say, for example, you've done a budgeting deep dive 6 months ago, then just take a 6-month timeline. But basically, you want it to be long enough to where you actually have solid data to reflect on, not just like a week ago, and then what are we doing now, right? You want to have enough data for you to make a good decision. So the theme of money also talks about money mindset. And Taurus, being a fixed sign, tends to hold on to things, tends to fall into lack or scarcity mindset. So this season can bring up and show you where you may have blocks around that to work through, so you can really tap into that next level abundance mindset and abundant embodiment. Which then ties in perfectly into our fourth and final theme I want to talk about today, which is senses and pleasure. So really saving the best for last here. Now, lots of people think of Taurus, and I think earth signs in general, as boring. They're very by the book. They're goody two-shoes. But Taurus is ruled by Venus, like, hello. And it is a sign that is so connected to our 5 senses, our senses that help us explore and experience the world around us. Now, if you have strong Taurus placements, especially Sun, Moon, Rising, or Mercury, you probably notice that you learn so much quicker through getting hands-on with what you're learning. That is that Taurus connection to your senses. And I guess this is the 5th thing, but Taurus is also about the simple things in life. It's about simplifying everything down to what really matters. So this season is about slowing down. It's about tuning into what is present right now. What are the simple things in life that I can tend to gloss over and disregard? But if I slow down enough to notice them, wow, they actually bring a sense of peace and beauty into my world. And let's do a practice now. If you are in a space to do so right now as you're listening, stop what you're doing. This is just going to be for a couple seconds. Stop what you're doing. Take a deep breath. And see if you can slow down your breathing more, slow down your energy more, to just notice the things around you and what's happening around you. Like, I can hear some birds chirping outside. I'm wearing really comfortable fuzzy socks that feel really, really good on my feet. The kitchen is really clean that I can see right now, right? And just feeling into how a lot of these things you might just bypass and you might just overlook when you're just going about your day-to-day life. But like if you slow down and intentionally tap into what is going on around you, it brings you a lot of that sense of groundedness and anchoring and peace. So tapping into your senses this season is going to be really big. This could be through cooking a good meal. It could be eating good food, taking baths, getting massages, getting sensual in the bedroom. Basically, this season is the time to slow down and to be immersed in that really juicy, yummy, vibrant energy that you have and you can tap into when you actually slow down. And that level of, again, really feeling the senses and the emotion helps you to tap into that abundant energy we were just talking about earlier. So those are the major themes of Taurus season that I want to touch on. Let's now move into what the planetary shifts are up to and what the planets are up to. And these shifts are what my forecasts in the membership are based on because they alter and shift the collective energy that we experience every day. So starting off with the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, 2 days ago, when it was actually exact, which means that both of those planets moved into the same degree as each other, and they will be staying at the same degree until the 26th of April. But of course, the actual effects are felt before and after this exact window. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I've talked about this in the Aries season podcast episode. It's from the beginning of April to pretty much the end of Taurus season, so like late May. That's the bigger window of which we will be feeling these exact effects. Now in the second half of Taurus season, the sun moves to join up with this conjunction. And the sun, I always say, is this big cosmic spotlight that really activates whatever it is shining its light onto. And so this is a huge activation and a power up for this conjunction. And in fact, next week inside our membership, we are dedicating our monthly call to talking about this exact conjunction and what it means for us depending on where it hits in our chart. So I'll be going through all the charts for the ladies inside the membership and really looking at what the impact of this would mean in their life. But basically, as a collective, we can expect a lot of shakeups, both in our personal life and also collective societally. And being in Taurus, this is related to structures or systems that we've placed our sense of safety in. And it could be keeping us safe, but it also can be keeping us stuck. So like I advised in my Aries season podcast episode, keep staying grounded and allow yourself space and time to process whatever is going on for you. So again, coming back to that theme of slowing down, this is so important for you to actually process and integrate what's happening. Because when we're in the chaos and the chaotic energy of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, it's so easy to go into autopilot or to go into, okay, let's just make it through. And then you don't have an opportunity to actually channel the chaos into creating something that you intentionally want. If you're able to slow down, you're really able to alchemize and transmute this energy into creation according to what you actually want. You can actually slow down enough to guide this energy. So in a couple of days, moving on to the next big planetary thing that's happening, on the 26th of April, Mercury retrograde comes to an end. We will still be in the shadow period until around mid-May, so don't rush back into things. Again, take your time to digest what you've learned over the past 3 weeks of retrograde and take those lessons with you in how you move forward. The next big shift is at the beginning of May, we see Venus moving into Taurus and Mars moving into Aries, and also Pluto beginning its retrograde. Now first, Venus and Mars moving into Taurus and Aries respectively. Both of these planets are now moving into their home signs, which can feel really good because when they're home, it feels really natural for them to express their energy. And I want to focus on Mars and Aries particularly because along with the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, this gives us speed. This is giving momentum. This is giving drive. So this Taurus season still has that fire that's left over from Aries season. We still have access to this inner drive and this inner fire. It's just more, what's the right word? Maybe muted or diluted and controlled in a way, where Aries season was collectively, we're all like, let's go, let's get this bread. And now in Taurus season, we have that drive because, of course, we need drive and motivation to get us to where we want to go, but it's a lot more grounded. We're like, how can we now use this fire to really anchor in deep, anchor our roots in really deep so our tree can grow as tall as we want it to. Next, Pluto retrograde. This is the final planetary shift that I want to talk about because Pluto retrograde lasts for a long time. This is going to go until mid-October. So we are in for a long retrograde, as we always are when these outer planets retrograde. But this is going to be the final time Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn. So from here on out, it's going to be fully in Aquarius. There are no more sign shifts. And Pluto is a planet of intensity. It's all about what is hidden beneath the surface. It's so transformative, it's so powerful, and it's destructive as well as creative. So Pluto represents power structures and systems and dynamics, especially ones that are more hidden in the shadows and are kind of operating things from the shadows. And over the past 2 years, Pluto has been making its slow shift into Aquarius, and we've seen firsthand huge power structures on a societal and governmental level start to collapse and have their secrets revealed to us, which is so Plutonian. This really reflects Pluto exiting Capricorn, with Capricorn being all about systems and institutions and government and authority and hierarchy. So Pluto moving into Aquarius is all about rebellion. It's innovation, it's progression, it's community, it's freedom. So this final retrograde back into Capricorn is kind of like Pluto cleaning house. It's like we've already done a lot of the work to get things going, to get the ball rolling. We're coming back and we're cleaning house and making some final moves on breaking down these old systems and beliefs that are left, or revealing secrets about these old systems and beliefs that are left. Now, this does not mean that after retrograde, we will immediately shift into new systems and a new way of living that is just so harmonious and so community oriented, because these systems that we're moving away from have been so entrenched in the world that we live in that it's going to take more time for them to really break down and transform into, hopefully, something that is better for us collectively, for community, for the earth. But during these next few months, firstly on a personal level, watch out for more insights around power dynamics or patterns within your relationships coming up for you. And collectively, there will be many more things being revealed to us about certain structures or systems that, essentially have been controlling us from the shadows without our knowledge, or without us understanding the full picture of the amount of power that they have. On a side note here, in Feng Shui, we have just entered into the age of 9 this year as well. So Feng Shui ages or Feng Shui periods last for 20 years. So for the next 20 years, this is going to be a time where integrity, truth, soul is going to reign. That is going to be so important. And I do also have a mini course on that and also on Chinese astrology. I'll link it below in the description if you're interested in that and you want to check it out. So that pretty much covers what we can expect in Taurus season. If you want to stay connected to the stars, make sure you join our free astrology community where we meet up every single week to chat about topics and questions that you get to submit. And of course, if you are wanting more detailed forecasts and personalized guidance, the Cosmic Sanctuary membership is where it's at. So that is all for this episode. Thank you so much for joining in and listening, and I will catch you next time.